especially organic, clean food, is a human right. It shouldn't be for rich people, it should be for everyone.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the podcast Digging Deeper by Stichting Boerengroep Wageningen. This podcast will dig deep into agriculture matters and practices. From the fields of the Netherlands to the far-reaching corners of the world, we explore a broad spectrum of agricultural topics to hopefully educate and inspire you, our listeners. Our episodes will provide knowledge from both science and practice to explore every topic from multiple perspectives. We are on a mission for a social, just, and sustainable food system that nourishes both people and the planet. We invite you to be a part of this mission. So, without further ado, let's start digging deeper together by diving into this episode. In today's episode, we will talk about money. Farmers' income is in many cases unfortunately below the minimum wage. And I will talk about this important topic with Elske Hageraats today. Elske worked as a farmer for many years and experienced struggles with earning a fair income. So she started doing research and ended up writing a book called Eerlijk Loon, which means fair wage. And she introduced a different kind of payment method called solidarity payment, which focuses on a fair wage for the farmer and creates a relationship between the producer and the consumer. And she will tell us all about it. And at the end of the conversation, we will also talk about her course, Agroecology in Practice, a program that teaches you the practical knowledge and skills to, after 1 year, start your own agroecological farm. So if this interests you, make sure you stay with me until the end. And now let's just dive into the episode and start listening to Elske, her wisdom. Welcome, Elske. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you too.
And actually, not only you, but there's also a special guest today in your belly because you're pregnant.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling very well, actually. And indeed, there is a little one here at the podcast as well, 25 weeks at the moment. And it's going very well. So we are doing good. And we're happy to be here.
I'm happy to hear that you're doing good. Before we dive into the topic of this episode, I would like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself however you like and maybe also tell a little bit about your career path.
So my name is Elske Hageraats and I'm very happy to be here because I used to work for Boerengroep and I'm a big fan. I really like all the people who are spending their voluntary time to join the movement. So it's nice to be here again. Well, shortly about my career. I studied in Wageningen, biology, and there was a lot the question, how are we going to feed the world? And most of the time after that question came slide number 2, which was how are we going to produce more food? And I was missing a little bit like the bigger picture. So I decided to switch to sociology. In the end, I finished both. So I had a master in biology and sociology. And there I really liked it because I got more involved with the movement for agroecology and food sovereignty. So that was really nice. And I became then after finishing my studies, I was involved with Toekomstboeren, La Via Campesina, the movement, part of the core team, not the person who did the most. There were really amazing people like Clarine from episode 1 of this podcast who did a lot, Leonardo and other people. But I was writing along some stories for Toekomstboeren. And then I became the coordinator of Boerengroep. And next to that, I decided, okay, I finished now university, but I would really like to get more practical knowledge. So I decided to subscribe to Warmonderhof and become a peasant farmer myself. So I started my own company and then worked at a garden for 7.5 years.
Nice. So also combining the science with the practice.
Yeah, exactly. And natural science with social science. I think social science is more where my heart lies, but it's nice to have the combination of natural science and social science, and combining that with practice.
Yeah, that kind of makes you the perfect guest as well, because in this podcast we of course try to look at every topic from multiple perspectives, and
like you just introduced yourself, you have a lot of perspectives to give. So thanks again for being here.
Yeah.
I would like to start about talking about the book that you wrote called Eerlijk Loon, which is translated in English as Fair Wage.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about what the book is about and why you wrote it in the first place?
Yeah. So after I graduated from university, I did a practical MBO education in Warmonderhof to become an organic farmer myself and do more to practice what I preach and not reading books and then go to farms and telling the farmers what to do while I didn't have any practical knowledge. So I became a peasant farmer, and I was doing all these things that I learned in university, like, oh, this is really good what we want to do in agriculture. So we were building up the soil, mitigating climate change, working on biodiversity, having a lot of different varieties. We had more than 400 varieties of vegetables, herbs, and fruits.
And are you talking about the Ommuurde tuin right now?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. That's the garden CSA farm where I worked. So we had these veggie boxes, and there was no plastic. It was all very local. So we were doing all these things that we learned were very important for the type of agriculture that we were looking, that we thought was a good alternative to conventional agriculture. But then I was earning half of the minimum income. I started with €5 per hour, and that increased after 7 years to approximately €9 per hour as a freelancer. So that means I also have to put money aside for retirement, for insurance. I, like every Dutch person, you have also right to some holiday money. All these things you really couldn't put aside. So it's, for a freelancer, this is very, very low. Like, the minimum wage should be around, now I think, around €18 per hour. So you can put these things aside. And what I saw is, okay, first I thought, I'm very happy because I'm a farmer and I'm doing something I love. So it's okay that I don't have a high income. But it also meant that, for example, the owner I was working with, she had to work 60, 70 hours a week because there was no money to pay an extra person to farm. So I thought, this is not sustainable. People are getting burned out, and we're doing a type of agriculture that we should move towards, but we can't keep up because it's so hard, the income part. So I thought, I'm gonna ask around with people I knew within Toekomstboeren, other farmers, other CSA farmers, like, are we bad entrepreneurs? Are we doing something wrong? But it turned out that actually almost all the CSA farmers were below the minimum wage. So not even on the modal wage, but below the minimum wage. And then, with my scientific background, I thought, I'm going to dive into some statistics and some scientific articles. So I found then on the Central Bureau of Statistics that since the 1950s, we are losing in the Netherlands 14 farms every day in the Netherlands alone. That is 6 out of 7 farms are gone. And this is not because a lack of infrastructure, because the soil is bad, because we don't have proper education, because of bad soils. No, it's really the income. That's the big problem. And then I thought, is this then only the small-scale farms? No, it turned out that 52% of all the farmers in the Netherlands, so that includes mainly conventional farmers as well, are below the minimum income. And then I started thinking, okay, this is a really big topic. Why are we not talking about this? It's really the income is a really big problem. And why? Because current conventional farmers don't have then money to invest in more sustainable practices. If they want to go into organic or agroecological, they cannot afford the transition. Current agroecological or organic farmers, they can hardly keep up, and they have to work so many hours because they don't have money to pay an extra farmer, and they get burned out. I know several people who are in this position. And third, future farmers, maybe like you guys or students, who want to start farming, they are like, how are we going to do this? Because we can't get an income out of it. And especially in the Netherlands, land is around €80,000 per hectare. here in Wageningen, I know a case where it's like 150,000 euros for 1 hectare. And then you have to make a living with half of the minimum income. So how are you going to do that?
Yeah, you're just not even going to start.
No, exactly. Yeah. And I want to mention that it's not true that young people or newcomers in agriculture don't want to start farming. It's really this income topic. Like when you grow up in a farm, your parents will probably tell you, don't become a farmer because financially it's not possible. And when you are, like there's many students who did the farm experience internship or the Warmonderhof or the course that I'm teaching, 40 people every year. There is really a lot of people, look at all the Toekomstboeren movement, all the members. There are a lot of people and also young people who want to start, but the income is a very big problem.
Yeah. Okay, and so you wrote the book Fair Wage, the Eerlijk Loon.
Yeah.
What kind of solution did you figure out, and what did you write about in the book?
Yeah, so diving into this, I thought we need to go for a new economy that embraces the option of sustainable production, of a fair income to the producer, and inclusivity, so all people have access to this organic food, not only rich people. So I decided to go to farmers in Germany and the Netherlands and Belgium and have interviews to find ways from farmers themselves how to get a fair income. So not from the books or models, but what do farmers themselves already do, and what do they came up with, and what do they see works to get a better income. Myself, I came up with the idea of solidarity payment, which we will talk a bit about later. But I found, for example, also a very nice example in Germany called the Bietenrunde. It's like a bidding round where the farmer has once a year a meeting with all the members, and then he shows all the costs that it takes him or her to produce food for the community. And then he adds up all the costs and he divides it by all the members, and then you can see the costs per member that you have to pay so that the farm can run. And part of these costs is also his hours times a fair income that he or she thinks is fair. So then everyone knows like the target price, and then there is a bidding round. So for example, if it's like 250 euro per person per year, then you are asked to write down on a paper the amount that you want to contribute with 250 euro as target price. So if you are on a very, very tight budget, you can say, I will pay a little bit less. And if you are on a really good budget, you can pay more. And then after the bidding round, they add up all the costs and then they check, do we meet the needed income so that we can start to farm? And if it's below, then they say, sorry guys, it's below, we do a second bidding round. And everyone has to write again the amount, but then a little bit higher than what they did in the first round. And these bidding rounds, they continue until the necessary costs are met, which I really like because it's transparent. The farmer really shares this with the community. Like it's really community-supported agriculture.
Yeah, it's really like about connection and community and awareness in a way.
Exactly, yeah. And he or she also stands for a fair income. Like these are my hours and I want to have a fair income. And that's just part of the costs.
Yeah.
And if we together cannot come up with this amount of money, then we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So it's also not so much a begging position that you see sometimes farmers have, like, please give me some money. And I also do it below the cost of production because I have to, but it's more strong and it's more respectful to the producer.
Yeah, and also in a way maybe the farmer in this example in Germany actually kind of asks you to think about it as a person and not as a consumer in a way.
Yeah.
So you really have to think, okay, but I want to give him the minimum wage.
At least,
At least, so that's why we're going to continue the bidding.
Yeah.
And that's also kind of what solidarity payment is about, right? Like about the person inside of you and like really the awareness about what you pay for and how much you can pay.
Yeah.
So can you tell me a little bit more about the principles that solidarity payment is built on for somebody who does not know at all what it is?
Yeah. Maybe before I do that, I can say why that is needed. Like the part where we are now, the economy we are now, like when I was biking to my work, to the farm, I biked across the Aldi supermarket, which is a supermarket that's known for having quite low prices. And they were making advertisement like, with like super low prices for vegetables and fruits. And me diving more into the economy, I thought, what's going on here? Like, how dare they advertise with this? Like they said, lekker van eigen bodemprijzen, like promoting how amazing it is that they have such amazingly cheap prices for local vegetables. And I thought they should be ashamed, because this price is really ridiculous that they give this to the farmers in their own country.
Not something to be proud of.
No, like, how dare you advertisement with this? And I thought, like, the capitalist economy as we are in now is, like the people who are in favor of it, they're like, yeah, the idea is that you produce something and then someone else produces something better, and then people go there, spend their money, and then someone else improves it again, and then other people go away to that person, and then that's how innovation is there in the economy. But this is, of course, not what is happening. It would have been really nice, but this is not happening. I mean, what happens is that it's not about improving your product, but it's about reducing the cost so that you get people buying your cheaper product. But the way to reduce cost is to exploit the environment, the animals, the workers, bad working conditions, bad payments of the workers. So, we are in a system where we see that the price is put down more and more. But because of that, we have to pay a lot of costs, like we are exploiting others. And the problem there is that, for example, the farmer who is delivering the vegetables to Aldi, for example, he gets paid very bad. And then with that low income, he only has the option to go to the Aldi because there's low prices. And then with the money he has and puts in Aldi, he enforces this system of exploitation. And he cannot go to Odin with fair prices. So you also see that there is out competition, and because of the workers getting paid lower and the gap in income, like the only option people have, or people with tight budget, is going to companies that are exploiting them and the world and the animals and the environment and the soil, and there you go. So it's a system that's very rotten, but it works very well. It's like a vicious cycle. And how to get out of that, I was thinking a lot. Like, we need an economy that has three important parts. So the first one is that it's fair, that the price for the producer is fair, a fair income. The second one is that is sustainability, so that as a producer you can produce sustainable, and the costs that belong to that sustainable production are covered. And the third one is that it's inclusive, so that that farmer who gets paid very bad by Aldi now also gets the opportunity to buy organic food, because the organic food doesn't have one price, but you can pay according to your carrying capacity and your income. Because as a farmer myself, I don't want to produce organic food only for rich people. I want to produce for my community, and I want to be able to afford my own products. If I get paid low, I want to be able to, buy my own veggie box, in a sense. Yeah. So I think those three things, fair, sustainable, and inclusive, are really important parts of the economy that we should move towards.
Yeah, and you said when you talked about sustainability, the second point, also the costs that are, for example, paid by the environment and etc. But I wonder, how do you quantify something like that? Because that's very hard to do, right?
Yeah. Now you move more into the true pricing, I think. I don't think we necessarily have to see or make models on how much money it costs that we are chopping down the rainforest in Brazil, because we can't. Like, how do you give that a price? But what you can do is that you make sure that people produce in a sustainable way locally, so that you really know very well what's going on, and that we don't have to do all these things far abroad that we cannot see and don't have so much influence on. And then we just see what are the costs for producing locally in a sustainable way, and what are your hours, and then we have the price. So yeah, I don't really like so much the models. I like the idea of true pricing, but I don't like the models behind it, because I saw, for example, a kilo of tomatoes, and then it says fair wage for the workers, and they added 2 cents per kilo. And I thought, who came up with this? You know,
why 2 cents?
Yeah, why 2 cents? Shouldn't that be much more?
Yeah.
Are you taking into account all the illegal migrants that are working in the greenhouses in Spain that don't even exist, you know, in society? They don't have a passport. Like, yeah. And then the second thing I don't like so much about true pricing is that the extra money that you then can pay, it doesn't actually go to those illegal migrant workers in Spain, but it goes to a project. So the idea is very nice. I think it's very good that we raise awareness about the true price and the hidden costs that comes with conventional agriculture and production in general. But for me, it's not the answer. And the answer for me, at least locally, I can find it more in solidarity payment. So maybe shortly how it works. I was producing veggie boxes, 90 veggie boxes per week. And normally a 2-person veggie box would cost 10 euros. That was the price of the box. And I thought, okay, I'm earning now, we are all earning here now half of the minimum wage. So if I want to have a minimum wage, I have to double the price of the box. But then probably everyone will run away to the Aldi because it's such a difference. So I thought what to do. And I came up with the idea to de-link money from the product. And I link it to the time it takes me to produce. So I'm kind of taking away the relationship between the consumer and the product and creating a relationship between the consumer and the producer. Because I think when I ask, do you want to pay a fair price for this onion? You think, it's an onion, whatever, maybe you say no. But if I ask as a person, as a human being, to you, do you want to give me a fair income for the work that I do in order to produce good food for you? The chance is much higher that you say, yes, of course, you deserve that. And I think that's a very big strength of solidarity payment. So what I do is, as a farmer, first of all, I am transparent about all the costs that I make in order to run the farm for 1 year. So think about compost, seeds, seedlings, irrigation, the water, etc. And then I divide that by the 90 veggie boxes or by the amount of members that you have. And then next to that, next to my cost, I also keep track of all the hours that I make. So that is in the winter administration, putting the compost, the irrigation, putting the irrigation, a lot of weeding, a lot of harvesting. Then I have to wash it, I have to weigh it, put it in the box. All together takes me an amount of time. Let's say, for example, it cost me altogether on average 1 hour to produce a veggie box. Then let's say if you are a shareholder in my farm, a member, then I ask you, it takes me 1 hour to produce this box. What is the wage that you want to give to me? Mm-hmm. And that wage, I also ask you to decide it yourself. There's no minimum, no maximum, but it would be nice to base it upon your own income. So if you are a cleaning lady, you maybe pay me 16 euros per hour, which is the minimum wage for freelancers. And if you are working here at university or you're a doctor or an ICT, maybe you pay me 100 euros per hour. And in that sense, on average, I as a producer get a fair income, but it's also organic food accessible to everyone, independent of your income. And I think that's very important because especially organic, clean food is a human right. You know, it shouldn't be for rich people, it should be for everyone. So I don't want to exclude people with a lower income. And this is the idea of solidarity payment, and it's called solidarity, because it is in solidarity with me as a producer getting a fair income, with the consumers all having access to food, with the earth, the animals, the environment, because the cost of sustainable production and fair animal-friendly production can be covered. And fourth, I think it's in solidarity with future generations, because people can take over a farm and get a fair income. And they can live in a world that is not polluted and destroyed. So that's why the name of solidarity payment.
Yeah, it's really nice. And how did you experience the transition from this fixed price of one veggie box towards the solidarity payment? Like, how did the customers react to it, and did it go well? Did you lose any customers? Did you gain any customers?
Yeah, so I started the experiment in Almere de Tuin, partly because there were not an overview of the cost. So I only started just with the idea of asking people, it cost me 1 hour to make it, what is the wage you want to give to me? So it was very simple to implement, because we wrote a couple of times about it in a newsletter, and I was very lucky also that the booklet, the Eerlijk Loon, was picked up by Zembla and NRC. There was a documentary made about it. So we sent this information to our members, and they could read and hear about it and get to know to this really weird way of paying and this new economy. And what I saw is that most people were kind of shocked to hear that we were earning so little, that we were far below the minimum income. And they started thinking like, oh, wow, actually, yeah, you should also deserve a good income. And, you know, like you're having such a beautiful garden and you're making clean food and doing so many values for society. So, of course, you should have a fair income. And then I think after 1 year, so we handed out the forms. I handed them out in person and asked the people in person. And I also forced them. So it was first an option, like, do you want solidarity payment? And then most of the people thought, we're busy, we're not going to look into it, and we're not doing this. But then we said, no, for next year, you have to fill in the form. And that year, we got an error from the bank saying, hey, you made a calculation mistake, because all of a sudden there's 10,000 euros more on your bank account from your members. But obviously this was not a mistake. This was the result of solidarity payment. We got 10,000 euros more for the bags. And people were very happy to be part of this movement and giving a fair price, because they didn't know. And so as a farmer, you also have to tell it. You have to share this information with your members. So that was really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can imagine, because I think, how many veggie boxes do the Almere de Tuin give out per week?
90.
90, yeah. So it's still quite a skill that you can still have connection with the consumer. Mm-hmm. Do you think if you have a farm that has a larger scale, is it still solidarity payment? Is it still implementable?
Yes, I think so. The first time I started the real complete version of solidarity payment, including the costs, was together with the farmer Siem of Eetmeerbos in Nijmegen. That's a pick-your-own farm. And he has 250 members, so that's already a bit more. And that worked out really well as well. He went in 1 year just by simply having a new subscription form, and also sharing the information in his newsletter with the members. He went from 12 euro per hour as a freelancer to 21 euro per hour as a freelancer, which is kind of, it's the target price that he set for himself, that he has a fair income and he can also have some retirement money and insurance. And within 1 year, that was done. So that's really good. And I think there are CSAs that are really much bigger, like with 500 hectares of land, for example, in the north of Germany. Or
500 hectares?
Yes. Oh. Or just a lot of members. And it's really about, even though there are many members, you can directly communicate this as a producer with your members, and they know you they come often to the farm or to pickup points, so it's still quite direct. And via newsletters or the website, you can share your story. So I think it doesn't matter the size so much.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm from a dairy farm, so my father's a dairy farmer, and there's also been a time that he worked for approximately like just a few euros per hour. And you, of course, have to work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, so that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, of course, dairy is also something that it can expire quite quickly. Do you think there is like a way, because right now we're mainly talking about like CSA farms, veggie boxes, or just self-harvest, but do you think there's also a possibility in other kind of farms, like for example, dairy farm or even meat, like to do something like this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the easiest way for solidarity payment is within a CSA construction. So community supported agriculture, that can be with veggie boxes or pick your own or pick-up points. And we have here the example in Wageningen of dairy farm Veld en Beek.
Yep.
And they have pick-up points here, like multiple pick-up points, but one of them is in Wageningen city. And there is like a cooling cell where every week the farmers go and they put their glass jars with milk and yogurt and other products. But there's also a fridge with frozen meat. There's also vegetables. And then people can take a membership to this. So, for example, every week, 1 liter of milk and 1 liter of yogurt. And they get a key and they can go 24/7 inside this cooling area and get their glass jar with milk. And then after they consumed it, they clean it and they put it clean back there so the farmer can reuse it.
Yes.
And if they want meat, they can take it from the fridge. They write down, I took so many grams of meat. And then at the end of the month, the farmer will, by automatic incasso, I think, transfer the money from your account to his account. So, yeah, this is really possible in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah, but then it is connected to community-supported agriculture. Is that also what you would like to see more in our economic system?
Yeah, I think direct selling from producer to consumer is really good and beautiful because of the fair income, because of people seeing where the food comes from, but also that the food doesn't have to travel many kilometers or have to be cooled for a long time. That costs a lot of energy, or wrapped in plastic that we don't need. So I think there is a lot of potential for having more CSA's or farms like Herenboeren. I think, yeah, it's my dream that the whole world is only with those kind of companies in a way. And yeah, they can be very small, like there is a 0.5 hectare farm in Amsterdam, but I also know a 500 hectare farm with a lot of cows also in the north of Germany that is a CSA. In Germany it's called Solawi, Solidarische Landwirtschaft. So yeah, in that sense, size doesn't matter, it's all possible. Yeah.
And do you have like an estimation of how many community-supported agriculture farms implement solidarity payment?
Not really. I know that there is a whole movement started, and more people started to at least already talk about the income problem, because it was a kind of hidden taboo topic, and now a lot of farmers are talking about it with their members. And yeah, we don't want to complain, and we don't want to, I don't know, hold up our hand or have that feeling. I hear that a lot when people want to start it. So there is a movement in the Netherlands, and also I know that there was a documentary made by people of Boerengroep called Valuing the Work of Farmers, which is a documentary on solidarity payment, and my booklet based upon that. And it's in English, and that went to other farmers. So I know there was, for example, also a movement of 60 farmers in the UK who are now wanting to start solidarity payment. So it's also spreading across, which is really nice.
How did it feel for you that your work reached all those people on that day?
Yeah, it was funny because I went, for example, with a friend to Switzerland. We were like going by car and visiting some farms and visiting friends. And then we went to a farm, because when I go on holiday, I always want to go to farms and talk to farmers. So I went to a farmer, and it was in Switzerland, and then he said, "Oh yeah, you are from the documentary, right? From the solidarity payment. Yeah, we are discussing it now with our members." And I was like, "Wow, this is
Nice.
really
Yeah.
cool," because you don't hear where all the story spreads to.
Yeah.
But apparently, it's a topic that is alive. Yeah.
Your work paid off.
Yeah,
Literally,
yeah.
actually.
Literally, yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And besides your work on solidarity payment, you also briefly already mentioned the course that you're also giving, the agroecology course.
Yeah.
I think you said 40 people per year.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you tell maybe also listeners that are potentially interested in this course what it is about?
Yeah. So I think after graduating and working for a boerengroep, I thought I really want to focus my life on finding out ways how we can have more sustainable agriculture in the Netherlands, because we have only, I think, almost 4% of the agriculture in the Netherlands is organic, which is, of course, ridiculously low, and we need to go to 100%. So
is that your dream, 100% organic?
Yeah, or even agroecological, like moving a bit on beyond organic. So we have less monocultures and but that would be really nice. So I thought what to do. Well, one of the things is finding a way to get a fair income for the people so they can continue and start their farm. And another way is, of course, the knowledge, because a lot of knowledge, unfortunately, is lost. And we need to keep the knowledge alive that people have. So when I worked at Ommuurdetuin, I decided to start up a course, Agroecology in Practice, where we focus on knowledge, very practical knowledge, so that people in the end can start their own farm. I stopped there last year. This was my last year after 5 years, and I have a 1-year break with maternity leave. And in 2025, I will continue again with a really nice new team of people, including some people who did the course and now started their own garden. And we will have excursions there, and they will share how they started their farm, what were the challenges they came across, and the things they learned, and share that with the new course people. So that's really nice. And how it looks like is that 2 days a month you have a course. So we talk, for example, about building up the soil, what to do with pests and diseases in an agroecological way without poison. Of course, how to get an income with solidarity payment. How to make a scheme that you can harvest enough for your, let's say, 90 veggie boxes or 250 members every week. So we have a lot of topics that we think are important for you to start a CSA farm, agroecological farm. And then next to those 2 days per month, from January to May, you can also do an internship on a farm or garden or food forest of your choice. So that can be all over the Netherlands, and we have a list of farms and gardens that are always joining the course and who really like to have interns. So then the agreement is that you, as a person who is doing the course, commits that you will be there, for example, 1 day a week, whether it rains or not, you're there. But on the other hand, you make the agreement that the farmer or gardener or food forester will kind of save nice jobs for you to do, so that you really learn, so that you're not only weeding in your internship. So you really learn the different things. And you also get some assignments with you, for example, about the soil, or do a test with the soil, or find one disease that you see that is there a lot in the farm where you do your internship, and have a look at the life cycle and what can you do about it in an agroecological way, how to make compost, all these things. So you get all these assignments, and then you can do that together with a farmer. So you kind of get much more out of your internship, because you know where to look, you know which questions to ask, you have assignment to make, and then after 1 year, you are ready to start your own agroecological CSA farm. And quite a lot of people did already. We have a whole list on my website where you can see the farms of the people who did the course. And that is in Dutch agro-ecologie.nu.
We will also leave it in the description.
Nice.
So you actually just give them the tools in a year to just be a farmer.
Yeah, and you learn a lot also on your internship. So it's optional, but we really recommend if you have the time to do that. And that's also what we hear back. Like you hear practical knowledge, and we also have a lot of excursions. We go to farms, but you then take that along to your internship and then work with it. So you really get hand-on knowledge. And I think that's the most important to have.
Yeah, so connect the theory with the practice,
Exactly.
basically. Yeah. And do you have to be a little bit experienced already before you start the course, or can you also be a beginner?
No, everyone can sign up, but we only have place for 40 people every year. And so we ask for a motivation letter, and everyone's welcome. But if there's more people signed up than place, then we give priority to the people who have already really concrete plans to start a farm. So if you're, for example, saying, I just want to orientate on agroecology, then we give priorities to someone who says, I really want to start and I'm already looking for land. And
yeah, because that's of course a very difficult thing as well, right? Looking for land.
Yeah, access to land is also one of the topics we talk about. So what can you do if you don't come from a farm and you cannot inherit it? And you don't have a lot of money on your bank account to pay 80,000 euros per hectare. There are still really nice things to do and get access to land. And we share a lot of stories of how other people did that without having a lot of money on the bank to invest.
Sounds like a very nice course. We will definitely leave it in the description.
Nice.
As we're going to wrap up a little bit now, we of course talked a lot about money. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, or I was just interested in your opinion on what makes a person a rich person.
Yes, well, I think that we are rich when we feel that we can be who we are, that we are in harmony with our surrounding and with ourselves. I think what makes me very rich is the nice people around me in my life, health, peace. So that's what makes it rich. So I don't think immediately about money, but I do think that the economy that includes money at the moment can create also a very beautiful world, because it fosters even, and it gives space to people to produce, to have jobs that they like in a nice way and produce in a sustainable way, get a fair income so they can enjoy their income with their families and their children and friends. And you have space and time and money, not a lot, but enough to enjoy the life and be happy.
And of course, that's just a basic human right. So
Yeah.
very important that thank you for all the work. I mean, all the work you put in the solidarity payment. Actually, this was already a very nice final message. But in the previous episode, I always ask, like, is there anything else that you would like to share or that you were missing? So
I don't really miss something. I think it was a nice talk.
I agree.
But something I want to share always is to really listen to your heart and follow your dream, even though it's super scary and you don't know about the future that is dark and you don't know what comes. But trust that life will also support you the moment you tune into your heart and you make the steps towards your dream. Things will come on your path that you could never think of before. So it makes you a happy person. And I think if you feel that happiness, it's the life communicating to you that you're on the right way. And I think it's very important. It's very scary, but ignore that and just go for your dream and follow your heart.
Thank you for sharing that. That's a very beautiful message. Thanks again so much for your time. And I wish you a lot of luck in the next year, also with your baby.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making it to the end of the episode. You can find the book Eerlijk Loon in the description, as well as the link to the website of their Agroecology in Practice course. If you want to know more about Boerengroep, check out our socials in the description as well. And if you have a question about the podcast, feel free to send an email to podcast_diggingdeeper@outlook.com. And I hope this conversation inspired you, and made you think about the work and therefore also the cost of the products around us. And like Elske said, don't forget to listen to your intuition. Thanks again for listening, and I wish you an amazing day.